live. It's been 6 seconds already. Welcome to this, whatever this is. I guess right now I'm calling it random Wikipedia article, but over the period of next few months or years, I guess I hope at least I'm gonna evolve this into more randomness, like more like I have few plans into making, so I'm gonna try doing this more, and instead of just limiting it to a random Wikipedia article, maybe even build up a randomness in and around the net, like random tweet or random um, I don't know, review of something I'm interested in or something on that line. So yeah, I'm excited about this because first of all, the best part of this is it's all random. So, I don't have to come prepared for anything, which is what I love, unprepared performance, I guess. But being unprepared also kind of helps in a lot of ways, meaning when I'm unprepared, I have to make sure that I'm present in the moment all the time. Because if I'm prepared, I can always use that flow of rehearsed material, so to speak, and just go, jump on that tangent without worrying if I'm, present in the moment or not. But uh, with unpreparedness, I guess maybe I'm just making things up to make myself feel better. But regardless, for because of unpreparedness, I feel like I'm more present in the moment, and at least that's okay or doable with the podcasting thing, which is what it's supposed to be to a degree. Whereas it doesn't work out the same way. It could, but most of the time it doesn't work out the same way when you're doing a live performance. When I say live, I mean live in front of audience. Not that you guys are not live. You are sort of live, but I can't see you. So I'm just going on a wing here. I'm just predicting or assuming your reaction to everything I'm saying right now. And in my imagination too, the reactions are not as good as I would like to. So I'm totally with you on this. And I know maybe it's a lie. It just the timing. I'm sure, like as and when I keep on doing this, it's gonna become something richer and much better than whatever this is at the moment. Hell, even I don't know what this is supposed to be. I mean, I like streaming online. At the same time, I'm not kind of person who would uh, who who would just dedicate to say creating videos for YouTube per se. I mean, there's let me rephrase. There are like different skill set into picture, right? Like creating videos would mean like you gotta plan it out. You gotta not just write down the script, but also you gotta figure out the directions, the various camera angles and the storyline, and still try to keep audience captivated throughout the bit or video or whatever. And that itself is challenging, but there are like multiple factors which come into play, and me being just me, meaning I don't have any team to kind of like have various camera setup or shoot the same thing multiple times. I don't have that kind of patience either. So the format which works best for me is just this impromptu, where I can just start streaming and just talk about random things. And um, today we will check on one of these random Wikipedia article to kind of see what are we gonna learn or update ourselves. But before we dive in the randomness, I guess let's go over some of the news. The Chinese paddlefish, one of the world's largest freshwater fish species, is officially declared extinct by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. So, the Chinese paddlefish, also known as Chinese swordfish, is an extinct species of fish that was formerly native to the Yangtze and Yellow River basins in China. With records of specimens over 3 meters and possibly 7 meters in length, it was one of the largest species of freshwater fish. Wow. Well, rest in peace, paddlefish, I guess. Amid protest over the economic crisis, Ranil Wickremesinghe is elected president of Sri Lanka by the parliament. Well, good for you, Ranil. Try to handle the Sri Lanka crisis better. Good luck with that. Heat waves across Europe leave more than 4,200 people dead. Wow. So this is gonna be sort of like a normal thing every summer. It's been a normal, sort of normalized thing for the past decades, but now it's gonna be more up there, meaning we all can feel the hotness. And on top of that, when you see these rising temperature all around the world, and we'd be able to better capture the data of how many people were affected. Um, but that being said, like the Earth has been warming up for decades now, so we have a lot of data. And in places such as India, where the facilities are pretty scarce, meaning like people who are homeless, especially, can't even find a space to kind of protect themselves from these heat waves. And I'm sure that that's the case with majority of the places with big homeless population. And to a certain degree, we can't do anything about that. About at least immediately, we can do a lot of things about like climate crisis, homelessness, and ton of other issues our society is encountering today. But we can't do any of those in a timely manner, especially with the state of the government, not just in U.S. but all across the major countries. Look at the state of government in India, in China, in UK, in Canada, in Russia, obviously US, and then France, Germany. I mean, these are big democratic countries, and the politics everywhere is very, very disappointing. Anyhow, NASA releases the first operational image taken by James Webb Space Telescope. And I've dived into all 4 or 5 of those images. I don't know if there were more than that, but I've dived into 4 of those images, and it's beautiful. It's scary because the space is so vast, and everything there is like so unknown. And when we are this far away from all the galaxies and the billions or even maybe trillions of stars, it's it's um it's beautiful. Like whatever we see from here gonna be beautiful. It's the same feeling when you're like very close, or not close, but when you're far away from any disasters, right? Like if you see a hurricane from far away, or a thunderstorm, or wildfire, or um, you name it, like a lot of dangerous things from far away, it looks beautiful. But when you kind of like steps close to that thing, that's when you see the danger, the scariest part of it. All right, let's jump into a random article, and today we're gonna learn about Jorma Paku, who was a Finnish diplomat and a foreign affairs counselor. Pauku was born in Pilisjärvi. He was a Finnish ambassador from 2002 to 2007 to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Tanzania. Why am I saying Tanzania? Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Is Dar es Salaam capital of Tanzania? I wouldn't be surprised because I did hear about Dar es Salaam in the past. It's the largest city. Mm. But not capital of Tanzania. It's the capital of Dar es Salaam region. And Jorma was also accredited as ambassador to Zambia, Burundi, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. He died in Espoo, aged 70. Pilisjärvi is a former municipality in the region of North Karelia in Finland. The municipality had 16,150 inhabitants in 1970. Pilisjärvi was a Finnish speaking municipality. So, up until 1970, I think it was a municipality, but or it was a region in North Karelia, but after 1970, I'm assuming it transformed into something else. Well, I want to check out Dar es Salaam. I don't know why I heard about this city in the past, um, but I definitely heard about it in like multiple contexts. Right, let's read it from the top. Dar es Salaam, also, which is translated to abode of peace, or commonly known as Dar, is the largest city and financial hub of Tanzania. It is the it is also the capital of Dar es Salaam region with a population of over 6 million people. Dar is the largest city in East Africa and the seventh largest in Africa, located on the Swahili coast. Dar es Salaam is an important economic center and is one of the fastest growing cities in the world. The town was founded by Majid bin Said, the first Sultan of Zanzibar, in 1865 or 66. It was the main administrative and commercial center of the German East Africa, Tanganyika, and Tanzania. The decision was made in 1974 to move the capital to Dodoma and was officially completed in 96. Dar es Salaam is Tanzania's most prominent city for arts, fashion, media, film, television, and finance. It is the capital of the coexistive Dar es Salaam region, one of the Tanzania's 31st administrative regions, and consists of five districts: Kinondoni in the north, Ilala or Lala. Is it E I? I believe it's I. No, it's Lala. No, but the first letter has to be capitalized, so it gotta be Ilala in the center, and then Ubungo and Timiki in the south, and Kigamboni in the east across the Kurasini estuary. It does look beautiful from here. I mean, look at that. Wow. All right, let's check out a little bit of history. In the 19th century, Zizima, Swahili for healthy town, was a coastal fishing village on the periphery of Indian Ocean trade routes. In 1865 or 1866, Sultan Majid bin Said of Zanzibar began building a new city very close to Zizima and named it Dar es Salaam. The name is commonly translated from Arabic as adobe of peace. From uh, Dar es Salaam fell into decline after Majid's death in 1870, but was revived in 1887 when the German East Africa Company established a station there. The town's growth was facilitated by its role as the administrative and the commercial center of German East Africa and industrial expansion following the construction of the Central Railway line in the early 1900s. In the East African regions, World War One, Empire forces captured German East Africa. The Royal Navy bombarded the city with the Monitor Mercy on 21st July 1916 and battleship HMS Vengeance on 21st August. The German colonial authorities surrendered the city on 3rd September. German East Africa became the British Tanganyika territory. Dar es Salaam remained the administrative and commercial center under British indirect rule. European areas such as Oyster Bay and African areas, example Kariogi, Kario, Kariakou and Ilala, developed separately from the city center. The city's population also included a large number of workers from British India, huh, many of whom came to take advantage of trade and commercial opportunities. After World War II, Dar es Salaam experienced a period of rapid growth. Political developments, including the formation and growth of the Tanganyika Africa National Union, led to Tanganyika's independence from the colonial rule in December 1961. Dar es Salaam continued to serve as its capital even when Tanganyika and the People's Republic of Zanzibar merged to form Tanzania in 1964. In 1973, provisions were made to relocate the capital to Dodoma, a more centrally located city in the interior. The relocation process to Dodoma was completed, although Dar es Salaam continued to be the location of the most government offices. In 1967, the Tanzanian government declared the Uzuma policy, which made Tanzania lean towards socialism. The move hampered the potential growth of the city as the government encouraged people not to move into cities and instead remain in Ujamaa socialist villages. By the 1980s, the policy failed to combat the increasing poverty and hunger that Tanzania faced and had delayed necessary development. This situation led to the liberalization policy of the 1980s that essentially ended socialism and silenced its proponents within Tanzania's government. Until the late 1990s, Dar es Salaam was not regarded in the same echelon as Africa's leading cities like Cairo, Nairobi, Johannesburg, Lagos, or Addis Ababa. During the 2000s, businesses opened and prospered. Growth expanded in the construction sector with new multi-story buildings, bridges, and roads. Tanzanian banks headquartered in the city became better regulated, and the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange expanded. The port is prominent for entry-port trade with landlocked countries like Rwanda, Burundi, Zambia, and the eastern portion of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The city's skyline features tall buildings, among them the 35-story PSPF Tower, finished in 2015, and the Tanzania Ports Authority Tower, the tallest in the country. Different parts of Dar es Salaam, I guess. The climate, oh, fuck. Look like it's pretty much about 35. Uh, wait, in degrees centigrade. Oh, okay, in Fahrenheit in bracket. So yeah, 30s is not that bad. I mean July 31.8, but on the on the northern side, in the northern hemisphere, Let's see. No. So it is in southern hemisphere, or just in the southern hemisphere. Maybe the summers and winters are very close to the equator, to the northern region. Uh, but I mean, with 35 degrees, the beaches must be great. It's not super hot. And kind of curious if they're gonna show any beaches in here. I thought Dar Islam was be a more is Islam, you know. But let's see. I'm kind of curious to learn more about the population in general. But let's start with the culture. I'm always fascinated with the culture. The Tinga Tinga painting style originates from Dar Islam. The Numbaya Sana House of Art is a cultural center, workshop, and retail outlet dedicated to Tanzanian art, showcasing and promoting Tanzanian craftsmanship. Prominent Tanzanian sculptor George Lilanga has donated some of his works to the center, including decorations of the building's main entrance. The music scene in Dar es Salaam is divided among several styles. The longest standing style is live dance music, called Musiki wa Danshi, played by bands such as DDC, Mlimani Park Orchestra, and Malaika Musical Band. Tarab, which was traditionally popular in Zanzibar, has also found a niche. However, it remains small compared both to dance music and bongo flava, a broad category representing the Tanzanian take on hip hop and rhythm and blues that has quickly become the most popular locally produced music. The rap music scene is also present. Traditional music, which locally refers to tribal music, is still performed, but typically only on family oriented occasions such as weddings. In the 1970s, the Ministry of National Youth Culture aimed to create a national culture stressing the importance of music. Dar es Salaam became the music center in Tanzania, with the local radio showcasing new bands and dominating the music and cultural space. With this Ujama, which means family, mentality governing culture and music, a unified people's culture was created, leading to the rise of hip hop culture. Throughout the years, the radio in Dar es Salaam has played a major role in the dissemination of music because many people do not have television. Cassettes are more common than CDs. Wow. Cassettes are more common than CDs. That is so odd to kind of feel, meaning like um, this country, Tanzania, seems kind of nice place. Just looking at the photos and whatnot. Even the photos in Dar es Salaam are pretty great, and I'm surprised that there are more people who are um, relied on cassettes than CDs, let alone internet. But again, who knows when this article it was written. So at least up until here, it was back in 2006. So who knows when this line was added or where this line was taken from and how relevant it is in today's timeline. So when it comes down to sports, obviously football seems to be the primary for our sports, and then there is golf, acrobatics, and boxing. These are all the notable people Jane Good Goodall. That's what I thought. Yeah. So I was trying to figure out like if I know any of these people. So I definitely heard about Jane Goodall. Didn't know she was from Tanzania, but yeah, she's experts on chimp. Marin Hinkle. Oh, she's from Tanzania. Well, I know two people. Raya. Let's go through each of them. David Ajayi. He's an architect. C.A. Peter was also an architect. Joaquim Chissano is a politician. Well, but oh, and he was the second president of Mozambique. But how? If he was born in Tanzania, Kanyama Shiume, he was a nationalist in the struggle for Malawi's independence. Malawi? And then there is Roald Dahl. He was a British novelist. Hmm. Then Jane Goodall, Maureen Hinkle. Obviously, we just saw her. Raya Kitule. He was an. He is an author. Rachel Luttrell. She's a Canadian, Tanzanian, of course, Tanzanian Canadian actress. When she was in on Stargate Atlantis, then I definitely must have seen her performance. Niall McKeven was a Scottish international rugby player and coach. Bibi Titi Muhammad was a Tanzanian politician of Muslim descent. Godfrey Mawkik Agile. Sorry, good Godfrey, I fucked up your last name, but you are a reporter. Good for you, Godfrey. Juma Volter Wapachu. I think the M is silent. So Juma is a politician. Harith Paul. She is a Tanzanian model. Walter Rodney, who was a historian, political activist. Justinian Wayamamu was first major economic scholar. Buwana Samata is a professional footballer. Isa Jeshivi is an author and academic. Ali Skaikis, Hashim Tabit. He's a basketball player and he played for Memphis. Paul von Lietov Vorbeck. It does sound German. Oh, there is Dar el Salam. Okay, maybe I heard about Dar el Salam. I was thinking about Dar es Salam. Dar el Salam which means house of peace, pretty much similar to the Dar es Salaam. This one is located close to the Nile. Wait, what is Dar es Salaam? It's still talking about different places and a lot of other uses. What should we dive from here? Let's check out Nile, the one of the major river of the world. The Nile is a major north-flowing river in northeastern Africa. It flows into the Mediterranean Sea. The Nile is the longest river in Africa and has historically been considered the longest river in the world. Though this has been contested by research suggesting that the Amazon River is slightly longer. Of the world's major rivers, the Nile is one of the smallest as measured by annual flow in cubic meters of water, about 6,650 kilometers long. Its drainage basin covers 11 countries: the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Eritrea, South Sudan, and Republic of the Sudan and Egypt. Never heard about this country before. Eritrea. Hmm. In particular, the Nile is the primary water source of Egypt, Sudan, and South Sudan. Additionally, the Nile is an important economic river supporting agriculture and fishing. I can only imagine the politics behind all of this, right? Because it's where is it originating from? Uh, so I'm thinking that it originates from here, from the south, and go flows to the north and merge into Mediterranean Sea. Let's see. Okay. The Nile has two major tributaries, the White Nile and the Blue Nile. The White Nile is traditionally considered to be the headwater stream. However, the Blue Nile is the source of most of the water of the Nile downstream, containing 80% of the water and silt. Okay, so this is Nile and this is Blue Nile, but it's going and mixing into Lake Tana, or what's going on there? That's first of all, what is headwater stream? The headwaters of a river or stream is the farthest place in that river or stream from its estuary or downstream confluence with another river, as measured along the course of the river. It is also known as a river source. Hmm. I'm actually more curious about checking out the history, not the history, the source of the river. The source of the Nile redirects. Okay. The source of the Blue Nile is Lake Tana in the Gish Abe region in the Ethiopian highlands. What? The source of the White Nile, even after centuries of exploration, remains in dispute. The most remote source that is indisputable, a source for the White Nile, is the Kagera River. However, the Kagera has tributaries that are in contention for the farthest south of the White Nile. To start, in Burundi, the Ruvenronza River, also known as Laviranza, and the Rurubu River. In addition, in 2010, an exploration party in Rwanda went to a place described as the source of the Rukarara tributary, and by hacking a path up steep jungle choked mountain slopes in the Yungwi forest, found in the dry season an appreciable incoming surface flow for many kilometers upstream, and found a new source, giving the Nile a length of 6,758 kilometers. With a total length of about 6,650 kilometers between the region of Lake Victoria and the Mediterranean Sea, the Nile is among the longest rivers on Earth. The drainage basin of the Nile covers 3,254,555 square kilometers, about 10% of the area of Africa. Wow. Wow. 10% of the area of Africa? Seriously? 10%? I mean, obviously, it doesn't cover the 10. Well, does it though? It does say it's 10% of the area of Africa. That's a lot. And it's not even like, all the way from the northern Africa to the southern Africa. It's like, just from northern Africa to maybe like a not even mid Africa. Compared to other major rivers, though, the Nile carries little water. 5% of the Congo River, for example. The Nile basin is complex, and because of this, the discharge at any given point along the main stem depends on many factors, including weather, diversions, evaporations, and evapotranspirations, and groundwater flow. Upstream from Khartoum to the south, the river is known as the White Nile, a term also used in a limited sense to describe the section between Lake No and Khartoum. At Khartoum, the river is joined by the Blue Nile. The White Nile starts in equatorial East Africa, and the Blue Nile begins in Ethiopia. Both branches are on the western flanks of the East African Rift. So this is Nile Delta from space. I gotta check it out. There is a Red Nile too. Oh, that's the tributaries. Okay, so this is Red Sea, and that is a Nile River. So it's not like a pretty wide river of some sort. It's just obviously it's long, but still 10% of the area is huge. This must be interesting. The history. The Nile has been the lifeline of civilization in Egypt since the Stone Age, with most of the population and all of the cities of Egypt developing along those parts of the Nile Valley lying north of Aswan. However, the Nile used to run much more westerly through what is now Wadi Hamim and Wadi al Makar in Libya and flow into the Gulf of Sidra. As the sea level rose at the end of the most recent ice age, the stream, which is now the Northern Nile, captured the ancestral Nile near Asyut. This change in climate also led to the current extent of the Sahara Desert around 3400 BC. Ancient Niles. The existing Nile has five earlier phases. Number one, the Upper Miocene Nile of about 6 million years BP. The Upper Pliocene Paleo Nile, commencing about 3.32 million years BP, and during the Pleistocene, the Nile phases. That's that's still number two, I guess. The number three is Proto Nile, commencing about 600,000 years BP, and then Pre Nile, which transitioning at about 400,000 years BP to the Neo Nile. Flowing north from the Ethiopian highlands, satellite imagery was used to identify dry watercourses in the desert to the west of the Nile. A canyon, now filled by surface drift, represents the Nile, which flowed during 23 to 5.3 million years before present. The Nile transported clastic sediments to the Mediterranean. Several natural gas fields have been discovered within these sediments. During the late Miocene Messinian salinity crisis, when the Mediterranean Sea was a closed basin and evaporated to the point of being empty or nearly so, the Nile cut its course down to the new base level until it was several hundreds meters below world ocean level at Aswan and 2,400 meters below Cairo. This created a very long and deep canyon which was filled with sediment after the Mediterranean was created. At some point, these sediments raised the riverbed sufficiently for the river to overflow westward into a depression to create Lake Maurice. Lake Tanganyika drained northwards into the Nile until the Virunga volcanoes blocked its course in Rwanda. The Nile was much longer at that time, with its farthest headquarters in northern Zamibia. The currently existing Nile first flowed during the former parts of the Wurum Glacian period. European search for the source. Okay. Owing to their failure to penetrate the Sud wetlands of South Sudan, the upper reaches of the White Nile remained largely unknown to the ancient Greeks and Romans. Various expeditions failed to determine this river's source. Agatharchides records that in the time of Ptolemy II of Philadelphus, a military expedition had penetrated far enough along the course of the Blue Nile to determine the summer floods were caused by heavy seasonal rainstorms in the Ethiopian highlands. But no European of antiquity is known to have reached Lake Tana. The Tabula Rogeriana depicted the source as three lakes in 1154. Europeans begin to learn about the origins of the Nile in the 14th century when the Pope sent monks as emissaries to Mongolia who passed India, the Middle East, and Africa, and described being told of the source of Nile in Abyssinia, which is in Ethiopia. Later in the 15th and 16th century, travelers of Ethiopia visited Lake Tana and the source of the Blue Nile in the mountains south of the lake. Although James Bruce claimed to be the first European to have visited the headwaters, modern writers give the credit to the Jesuit Pedro Paez. Pace's account of the source of the Nile is a long and vivid account of Ethiopia. It was published in full only in the early 20th century, although it was featured in works of Pace's contemporaries, including Balthazar Tellis, Athanasius Kircher, and by Johann Michel Mansleb. Europeans had been resident in Ethiopia since the late 15th century. And one of them may have visited the headwaters even earlier without leaving a written trace. The Portuguese uh, João Bermudez published the first description of the Tis Issat Falls in his 1565 memoirs, compared them to the Nile Falls alluded to in Cicero's The Republica. Okay, that's a lot of history behind that. Well, honestly, I'm super fascinated with the history of geography, I guess. Yeah, I like to read the history of various countries and various places, and also various things like rivers and mountains and whatnot. That kind of shows a glimpse of what the world used to be like, and just also kind of reminding you that the world is constantly changing and it could change at any given time. Although I feel that a lot of the changes when it comes down to, say, geographical things takes longer time. and hence that's why climate crisis isn't uh, did not hit us within like 20 years or 30 years. It's going to take a while before the crisis going to pressurize, and it's going to hit from all sides. That, at least the way I see it. And that also means it gives us good enough time to kind of mitigate that and reduce all the all the pollutants in the climate, or in the atmosphere rather. And even though even though I'm saying that, I know very well that we have more what do you call uh, yeah, we have more output than the input, for lack of a better word. And who knows when or if we would be able to get out of climate crisis. But that being said, like the history of the regions, like different regions, kind of paint a picture of the not only about the people and the animals who lived there in the past, but also the show you how time can pretty much like dissolve everything from the past, and maybe leave remnants of the past, like that. Basically, that's how we are able to tell, like, the age of the Earth, for example, or predict all these situations, or the things happened in any declining civilization, I guess. I mean, obviously the records kind of help, the paper record, especially left behind by Roman and the other civilizations, which kind of give you a better understanding of what happened during that time period. But even if you don't have any paper trail, we still have historical trail, meaning, we have the abandoned houses, we have the art from the past. We have the pottery, which are at times buried, and we have so many artifacts from the past, which kind of gives us the glimpses in what the life was at the time. And that also make me wonder, like, what artifacts from the current timeline would give a proper reflection of the life here right now. I mean, maybe leaving a computer, like if someone find a computer thousands of years from now, they would have a better understanding of what the timeline looked like in the current timeline, I guess, because they'd be able to, if they are able to successfully decrypt and log into a computer, they'd be able to collect and absorb all the massive data in the computer, unless it's like wiped clean, then it's kind of different. But I feel like, at least in our timeline, we have made enough impact in the environment as well as in the society, that no matter what we leave, if our society or civilization collapse suddenly in, say, next 100 years or so, I feel like whatever we leave would have a trail for a good amount of time. Maybe, who knows? If I have to predict, maybe for a millennia, of course, at least, because if they're going to be smart people in the future, like we have right now, and honestly, I don't doubt that we'll have smarter people in the future. They'd definitely be able to kind of like excavate all the older technology, art form, and would be able to create or construct a proper understanding of how our timeline looks like in the moment. And yeah, maybe that's why that's one of my favorite topic to kind of dive into, just kind of reliving the past. All right, but that being said, we are not gonna be reliving the past. We're gonna be living the current time. And to do that, we need to jump off, get off this live stream and live our lives. So which is exactly what I'm gonna do. And I hope that you all have wonderful day, and I hope that you you are having a peaceful existence. Uh, and until next time,